Hello everyone and welcome to Myst, that is the remake of the classical game from 1994, I think. This game is a puzzle adventure game set in a 3D environment. Uh, it was kind of a huge deal back in the day. I remember seeing it, I remember wanting it, no idea why I never got it and never played it, but I didn't, so this will be a blind playthrough. This is built in Unreal Engine, the remake, so it has some updated graphics. I also saw that they replaced the FMV cutscene, the video integration of real video into the landscape with actual CGI. So, but you can switch back to FMV, but don't think I will be doing that. Anyway, so let's start a new game. Yep.
I realized the moment I fell into the fissure that the book would not be destroyed as I had planned. It continued falling into that starry expanse of which I had only a fleeting glimpse. I've tried to speculate where it might have landed, but I must admit that such conjecture is futile. Still, questions about whose hands might one day hold my Myst book are unsettling to me. I know my apprehensions might never be allayed, and so I close, realizing that perhaps the ending has not yet been written.
So that's where we need to be. I'm excited. This is supposed to be one of the best puzzle adventure type games. And back in the day it looked beautiful, and when I look at this, they seem to have done a fine job on updating the graphics, as far as I can see. Hate to say it, mate, but I don't think your ship is seaworthy anymore. There's a switch? There was one behind me as well. And I think this one opens the door. Yep. And just closes it. Can be open. Settings, dimensional imager. So we got different codes. Right. Okay. So 47. Wait, let's start with 40. Topographical extrusion test. Okay. So what we had in the beginning was the water turbine pool. Marker switch diagram. Yeah, that's the switch we saw outside. So does this mean it needs to be in up position? Oi, mate. Open up. That didn't really do anything. Can I jump? Oh, space is camera. Okay. So no jumping, I think. There's another one. Still didn't do anything, I think. Well, just continue. Here's another. I don't know what I'm doing with these switches, but okay. What do we have here? Huh. A date. Well, yeah. I think we need a clue somewhere. Because there's no real incentive to. I mean, the puzzle is not complete. We don't have any indication of what date should be put in. I really need to stop jumping because that just activates the camera. Nice little temple here. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, I can use that to take photographs to remember stuff. That was
Serious? Oil. A seal? You must Mackinac. Can help me. Bring me pages.
okay.
Serious?
He needs the blue pages. Okay. Aha. Can I drag this? This is all like clickable, but doesn't do anything. What was the title of the book? Can I see that? Oh, it's Crystal. Oh, come on, that was too fast. It has been a while since I have heard only silence, and I enjoy it greatly. I think, for some reason, I do not feel altogether welcome in this new world in which I have arrived. But how could I be unwelcome in an age with no inhabitants? It is, of course, only in my head. This world is very beautiful, but I think I have yet to ever write in a journal that an age I have linked to it is horrid or disgusting. From the grassy hill where I am standing, I can see green fields below, along with a few scattered forests. A rather large lake looms in some distance from where I am standing, yet the water... What? Yet the water's blue can be seen plainly from here. The air is fresh and the sky is sparkled with white clouds. It is absolutely breathtaking. And yet, that strange feeling again. Perhaps it is the hot breeze that continues to blow from the north. Hotter than I would have imagined. It almost singes my skin, and I feel quite uncomfortable when it comes. I will try to ignore it. Night has almost arrived, and the sunset is spectacular. Oranges and reds have settled above the western horizon. Though night has come, the horizon still glows red long past the sunset. Dark red flow from the horizon and blend into the black sky. Again, the feeling, and I am beginning to believe it is not all in my mind. I must sleep now. I will need my strength to explore more tomorrow. I have had to return home due to an unpredictable natural occurrence, more frightening than I have ever experienced. I was awakened by terrible shakings in the ground and explosions on all sides of me. Gigantic balls of fire were falling from the sky, and I immediately left in fear of my life. I must remember to bring a Myst linking book with me when I return, in case the one left there has been destroyed or damaged. I have returned to a different world than the one I left only 3 months ago. It has been transformed into a barren desert land, with only gigantic craters scattered across the land to provide variety. Strangely enough, the small grassy hill where I spent my first night remains exactly the way I found it. Apparently, the falling meteors did not hit this area, leaving an oasis in the midst of this horrible desolation. The hot wind, I remember, has turned into a rather pleasant breeze, which is at least one improvement. I fear it is the only improvement. The magnificent lake I saw on my first visit is now completely dried up. However, another lake now exists and appears to be quite a bit larger. I assume one of the falling meteors created this lake due to its circular shape and the jutting rock that grows out of the center of the lake. The rest of this world seems like desert, although I will verify that statement with closer inspection. Though this world has little visual excitement to offer, it offers much to the ears. Sounds constantly flow through my ears, and I have found where a few of them originate. It seems, as Catherine says, I do find beauty in everything. Last night I was awakened by a horrible hissing. I was sweating, and the heat was so intense that I immediately dipped my head in a nearby stream to cool it down. The hot breezes had returned, along with a low roar from the ground. I walked a short distance to observe some red flames shooting up from the earth. Suddenly, the ground began to crack and a huge chasm opened. The chasm continued to grow until it was far too wide to cross. Then the tumult subsided, leaving only a dull roar. I have decided, however, I can use the chasm to my advantage. Perhaps the heat from the chasm can be harnessed. Even as the chasm has ripped into the surface of this world, it has opened up a whole new world to explore. Although uncomfortably hot, I found it possible to reach a cave in the chasm that had been created, and have now explored deep into the crust of this planet. I have found a vast underground cave system that will take many years to map and explore. I will also look for a safer way to reach the underground than through the chasm wall. This age seems to change on its own, so I feel I should leave again and see if things are different when I return. It is also important that I check on Sirius and Akinar and make sure everything is going along well. When I return, I also hope to bring back some tools I will need for my plans to explore the underground. The abundance of raw materials here is beginning to amaze me. I have returned with some of the complex tools I knew I would be needing. I assumed I would have to return for more basic materials. However, it seems as though I will be able to find everything I need here. Of course, iron is abundant, but I have also found titanium occurring naturally. I am all the more excited to begin work. Everything is set, and I look forward to tomorrow. My raw materials are all here. I think I will be able to have most of my additions to this age complete within 1 year. I so love working with my hands, whether writing or building. I began today on the... and that's like faded out. Okay. We can see some image. Okay. "14 instead of 8. Jesus, how long is this book anyway? I am leaving today in order to bring back Sirius and Akinar. I've left them alone in Channelwood. I believe they will enjoy all there is to see here. The age seems to have stabilized. I believe the meteor set off a period of volcanic activity by piercing into the shallow crust. But the tremors have become few. I have just noticed that a large amount of this journal has curiously vanished from the very pages on which I wrote over the last 18 months. Fortunately, I've copied many of my construction notes in another journal. I do not understand the many mysteries of this world, but I trust I will discover logical answers to my questions. I have a feeling that many of my questions can be answered in another age to which I hope to travel soon. But for now, I must simply accept this world's mysteries and take pride in my accomplishments." Okay, so if we find a piano... Okay. Cool. That was it? Okay. Is that the only book here? No. Wait. How long is this? Quite long. And it also seems to contain a clue. What about this one? Jesus Christ. Yeah, these are all clues. Okay, is this all there is in this book? I think so. Does it go on forever? Oh god, it goes beyond 100. Okay. Is there anything else? So this is the book we first read. Fine, I will read it. Because if there are clues... Oh, it stays open on the... I've called this age Channelwood, and it's a very different world. Though it is exactly how I imagined it, it is still amazing to see it with my own eyes. Water covers this age as far as I can see, except for a small rocky island. Elsewhere, there are only trees which grow directly out of the water. A myriad of thin wooden passageways are built just above the water and disappear in the forest. I assume they were built some time ago, for they appear aged. I am eager to discover more about this land and its people, but I have arrived here late and I must rest. I was awakened this morning by strange noises coming from a pathway adjacent to the one on which I had slept. I saw a group of monkey-like people heading in my direction. They had not seen me yet. I did not feel threatened by their presence. Their response to me was one that I would have never expected. After staring at me for a short time, they fell to their knees and began what appeared to be some sort of ceremonial worship. I tried to speak to them, but they did not understand my language. Instead, They indicated through enthusiastic hand motions that I was to follow them. As we walked, I began to notice that the waters below us were changing colors. Slowly, subtly, they would change from deep blue to muddy orange, then from muddy orange to beautifully clear. I was so intrigued by the water, I hardly noticed that we had arrived at a ladder. Climbing the ladder led us to their village, which is about 10 meters above the water and can only be reached by rope ladders that stretch from the lower paths to the village level approximately halfway up the grand trees. It is very interesting watching these people carry out their daily tasks. Even after watching them for hours, I did not understand exactly what they were doing. At sunset, they motioned for me to follow them. I followed the creatures to the doorway of an enormous hut. Strangely, once inside, I found that the hut appeared even larger than it had been from the outside. Oh, it's the TARDIS! Is it? The walls were garnished with bright metals, and in the center of the hut sat the leader of these people. That's the doctor, right? At least he appeared to be their leader, for he sat a meter off the floor in a thick throne. Guards surrounded the strong creature, who was dressed in many exotic, colorful fabrics. Next to the leader sat a very old human. At least to some extent he appears human. His hair, which was only on his face and head, was completely grey, almost white, and hung very long around his frail body. His thin head hung limply by an almost grotesque neck that could not hold its head up to look at me. But what a surprise! This creature could speak my language. Shortly thereafter, I was given a bed with some hand motions that looked to be telling me to go to sleep. I look forward to learning more. As suspected, the ancient creature is a human, but he is old beyond his own reckoning, and seems almost insane. However, the tree dwellers almost revere him as a god. They are treating me now in the same fashion, which makes me feel very uncomfortable. It is almost impossible to understand this old man. His voice is feeble but wild. He has adopted much of the language of the tree dwellers. He himself told me he had not spoken our own tongue in ages. He attempted to explain to me the history of this place. The following is my best translation of what he told me. Many years ago, the humans and tree dwellers lived together in this place, which was then a vast island. They interacted very little. The humans dwelt on the ground and the tree dwellers lived high above the humans. Occasionally, the island was disturbed by mysterious rumblings, which happened randomly. Some sort of tectonic or volcanic action, I suspect. The sometimes slight, sometimes heavy tremors would only last a short time. Then they would stop, allowing everything to return to normal. One day things changed. The rumbling began and grew quickly to unprecedented levels. Soon it became apparent that the entire island was sinking slowly into the ocean around them. Many of the humans died that day, but not before sacrificing themselves in order to stop the sinking of the island. The humans who lived through this catastrophe moved into the trees, where they gradually died out. Maybe because they were unequipped for such an environment. But I am not sure. This is the story the old man communicated to me, although many details are very unclear in my mind. I am especially confused as to how the humans saved the island from completely sinking. In fact, I doubt the accuracy of that part of the story. The island must have stopped on its own. Yet the old man believes in the truth of the story, as if he had been there, and the tree dwellers worship him, and apparently all humans, as if they were heroes or gods. The old man ended our conversation today with an event which I will never forget. He began gripping my hands tightly, murmuring something about rest and asleep, and then he said, "We had expected you to come sooner." These actions filled me with a sort of immediate dread. With much effort, he stood to his feet. I tried to help, but he pushed me away with more force than I imagined his frail body contained. The tree dwellers quietly surrounded him with solemn faces. Then they kneeled before him. He walked to each and placed his hand on their heads. All the while, he murmured words which I did not understand. Finally, he turned to me and smiled. Then he closed his eyes, walked out of the door, and off of the narrow path behind the trees. The tree dwellers were silent. They began a procession down the nearest rope ladder. As I was descending, I saw several of them pick up the body. He had fallen onto a lower level of walkway and carry it away. He was laying down at the dead end of a short pier-like structure. With the use of some potion, one of the three creatures lit the pier on fire, and I watched as the flames engulfed him. As this strange funeral proceeded, the waters around the pier changed to dull green. This morning I awoke, finding it hard to even believe the previous evening's events. The water is a dull green for as far as I can see now. For some reason, the water no longer shifts color. As I wander throughout the pathways, creatures watch me, curious to see what I will do next. They are constantly offering me strange objects of affection. I even found food outside the doorway to the room in which I had slept. This is a unique race of beings. I hope to learn their language soon so that I might learn more from them. I have lived on this world for 3 months off and on, and the tree dwellers have shown great hospitality. I'm even beginning to learn bits of their language. I have decided to return home for an extended stay with my loving wife and my sons, and hopefully return with them. However, I'm sure Catherine will once again refuse. I think this age would be a wonderful experience for them all, and I at least look forward to how Sirius and Achenar will react to its curious inhabitants. Catherine is staying behind as expected. My sons have returned with me and they enjoy this age very much. They get along very well with the tree dwellers and are picking up their language surprisingly fast. I have no doubt that it will not be too long until they can speak with the tree dwellers much better than myself. I am leaving tomorrow to check on Osmoyan age. Sirius has suggested that I allow him and his brother to stay. Though the idea unsettles me, I know the boys are growing up rapidly. The hospitality of these creatures is such that I could think of no better place to leave them alone for a short while, so I will consent to their request. I warned the boys not to take advantage of the respect of the tree dwellers have for their ideas. They seem to understand my warning, and I have faith they will follow it. Much to my dismay, upon arriving in Everdunes, I learned that Pran and her people are continuing to be menaced by the Hochtik? Not sure. I fear for their survival. And plan on returning to her shortly after checking on Sirius and Achenar here. See Everdune's journal for more information. After watching Sirius and Achenar, I see they are handling things very well, and I think I can put to rest any fears about leaving them in Channelwood again. And for a little longer time. The tree dwellers seem slightly distressed that I am leaving, but I am happy that Sirius and Achenar are staying behind again. I've been gone for over 3 days, and I've been to many different places. I had to tell Sirius and Achenar about Pran's death today. They were visibly shaken, although they only remembered her from their childhood. Catherine has suggested that it would be wise for Sirius and Achenar to leave Channelwood for a while, and I have to agree. They will be returning with me when I leave again. I have told my sons that they will be returning with me in 2 days. They spent the entire night telling me of an adventure they experienced in my absence and that it was rather remarkable. It seems they constructed a boat with the creatures and traveled some way out into the surrounding waters. I enjoy hearing them talk excitedly of their adventures, and I am reminded of my own adventures as a child. I finally understand why the tree dwellers have been giving me their many inks and insisting I write with them. Looking through some of my past entries, I see now that the inks have changed from the black. I thought they were to various different colors. I've shown some of the creatures my journal and they laughed and howled. I did not know they had such a sense of humor. Even now, as I look through this very colorful journal, I cannot help but laugh myself. We will be returning tomorrow, so my sons are with the creatures for the last night here. They have told me they would like to come to Channelwood again, and also asked if they can visit some of the other ages alone. Though I will have to think over their request, I believe they have proven to me that they are trustworthy and responsible. Catherine will also have to help me decide whether they are ready for the travel alone. For now, I must give my farewells to the creatures, for I do not know how long it will be until I visit this age again. Alright. And then we get some kind of plan. Alright, I think this is a good place to stop this episode, so thank you all for watching and see you next time.